Good morning, everyone. This is Father Nate, missionary priest in Italy, and thanks for joining us today, December 23rd, on No Greater Delight, our podcast on Marian feasts and Marian meditations. Well, today we have a great number of feasts. First, we have Notre-Dame de Bonne Nouvelle, Our Lady of Good Tidings or Good News, in France. Now, you may be thinking, well, didn't we celebrate that not too long ago? Well, I think there's different devotions to her under that same title, but also the reason we're celebrating it today is because on December 23rd, 1563, the Bishop of Luçon, Jean-Baptiste Tierchelet, consecrated the church, this church that we're celebrating today, under the patronage of Our Lady Notre-Dame de Bonne Nouvelle, right? So, since 1563, the church has been there. But in 1818, there was a severe pandemic or epidemic plague ravaging the country. So the faithful made a vow, with the agreement of their bishop, that they would go in procession to Our Lady of Good Tidings and celebrate the feast in perpetuity of the Visitation, right, which is the chapel's feast. So they made a procession, and then the plague quickly ended. Likewise, at around that same time, a young boy started making regular visits, right, to the shrine. Now, he was a poor boy, and he had been born into a peasant family, and they were trying to do the best they could. Well, he kept the faith, and when he grew up, Jean-Baptiste Lemay was ordained a priest, and then became eventually the first Archbishop of Santa Fe, New Mexico, right? Again, numerous miracles have been attributed to Our Lady there. One particularly great miracle was on December 23rd, I'm talking Feast Day, 1720, when, as the wooden houses of the people burned down, there was a big fire, the people of Rennes saw Our Lady of Good News look down in compassion from the sky. Right? Likewise, still in France, we have Our Lady of Dardillier in Anjou, France. So many people have gone there. There's a fountain nearby, which is said to have miraculous properties, and the image housed in the shrine represents Our Lady as a Pietà that has her dead son in her arms, so Christ is dead, lying in her arms, and Christ's head is supported by an angel, right? But this is interesting, right? In 1454, a farmer who was plowing his field discovered in the ardil, meaning the clay, which is a word that will give its name, according to tradition, to Notre-Dame des Ardilliers. He found this stone statue about 30 centimeters high, which represented the Pietà. Again, Our Lady having Jesus in her arms, right? So he took it home, and then he discovered that miraculously the statue returned back to its place it was discovered, right? Again, next to this fountain with miraculous properties. He did the same thing again, and so then he said, okay, forget it. We're just going to, make a shrine here for it, right? And so again, many people have gone there in the past, and also many people, there used to be a pilgrimage as well, right? And I think it's probably still continued today, but maybe with less frequency than before the French Revolution. And lastly, we'll go even further south to Maria Santissima delle Grazie in Naples, Italy, right? Today, in 1442, the statue was brought to Naples at Our Lady's request. It's an image venerated in the Church of St. Peter Martyr at the University of Naples. So what does that mean, brought at Our Lady's request? Well, this image of Mary originally belonged to a woman from a different town, right? And one day she seemed to hear that the image said to take it to a church in Naples where it would give more graces even, right? So on December 23rd, 1442, with the picture and her belongings, she went by boat to Naples and landed at Porta di Massa, right? There was only one problem. She didn't know which church in Naples, and if you've been to Naples, there's lots of churches. She didn't know which church was the one that the image was supposed to go to. So what do? What you always do. You put it in an ox-drawn cart, and let the oxen go wherever you want them to, or wherever they want to, and they just keep going. And then, finally, when they reached the Church of St. Peter Martyr, they stopped. And so, what happened? Well, that's where they left the image, with the Dominican friars who lived there. On September 26, 1802, the image was solemnly crowned by the Holy See. And during World War II, a bomb nearly destroyed the chapel where the image was displayed, but the image was found intact among the rubble. For today's reading from The Imitation of Mary by Alexander de Rouville, we continue with Book 1, life and virtues of the Blessed Virgin Mary, from her Immaculate Conception until the birth of Jesus. And today we will read chapter 5, entitled, We Must Give Ourselves to God While on Earth. Listen, my daughters, with care to what I shall say to you. Forget your people and your father's house. That's Psalm 45, verse 11. And you shall win the heart of the king which you have touched. That king is your God. During her life on earth, Mary listened to the voice of God that called her into solitude. From her earliest years, she left her father's house and consecrated herself to God in the temple. Nothing could hold her back, not youthfulness, nor bodily weakness, nor love of parents. Everything that delays the sacrifice of a heart that seeks and loves God alone afflicts that heart, for it also delays its happiness. Once she became an inhabitant of the temple, Mary fulfilled in the most perfect way possible the duties that were entrusted to her in accordance with her age and strength. She devoted to prayer and meditation the time left to her. That is how she prepared herself for the special graces God was to give her. O daughter of heaven's King, how noble and splendid are the first steps you take. I think it might be from Song of Songs, chapter 7, verse 2. Others will follow your example. In your train, countless virgins will joyfully consecrate themselves in the temple of the King of Kings. The offering they will make to the God of their youth, their heart, their freedom, their entire self, will be an act of perfect homage to His Majesty, and that the homage will be a source of blessings that He shall heap upon them throughout their lives. What self-deception to think that the young are not capable of virtue! Mary and the saints have shown us how profitable it is for a man to have carried the yoke of the Lord from his very youth. That's Wisdom 3:27. Do we treat God as God when we give Him only the shabby remnants of a life that was given to us that we might spend it wholly in its service? What kind of sacrifice are we offering to God when we wait to commit ourselves to His service until, by worldly standards, we have neither strength nor means left? Do not wait until old age to give yourself to God. By that time we are exhausted from the world's yoke and have no strength left to carry God's yoke. You say you will give yourself to God when you are older. But when will that day come? And when it comes, will you succeed in turning to God as easily as you think? Experience tells us that mature years bring wisdom, bring knowledge, but not necessarily wisdom. Master, Master, open the door for us. That's Matthew 25, verse 11. Cried the foolish virgins, but they came too late and knocked on the door in vain. Experience teaches us that maturer years make us ready to enter the presence of the Supreme Judge, who asks an account of one's whole life. The man who does not consecrate to God the early years of his life may well fear to punish him. God may allow his life to be long drawn out. O God, how many know you but do not love you? I should be inconsolable at the thought. But if I am easily consoled, can I at least say that I have at last begun to love you? If I were only a child once more, I would want mind and heart, thoughts and affections, everything in me, to be given to you. Thank you for your great mercy in preserving my life while I spent it in offending you. I beg for your grace. May it help me to serve you until my dying breath, and to serve you all the more faithfully, as I have begun so late to be your servant.
Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed our Marian podcast. As St. John Paul II teaches us, from Mary we learn to love Christ, her Son, the Son of God. Through her intercession, may we grow ever closer to Him. We encourage you to share this with a loved one or friend and help spread our devotion to Mary. Thank you, and God bless.